Hello and happy Monday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on Now. It's a new year, lots of marijuana regulations going into effect. There are some federal questions and some local questions that need to be answered. We'll have a couple of stories you'll want to see.
Plus, Maine's share of a massive Volkswagen settlement. What to do with that money? Maybe electric vehicles.
We've also spoken a lot about closing stores at the Bangor Mall, but what about the stores that are opening?
This is News Center Now. There are significant changes in the works for Maine's marijuana regulations, and it could be a huge step backward for the progressive pot agenda. Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. First, a big change at the federal level. Last week, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that the Department of Justice will encourage federal prosecutors to charge and prosecute for possession of marijuana. Under President Obama, the DOJ considered marijuana enforcement to be a low priority, especially with so many states voting to legalize the drug. So that's the change at the federal level, dealing with both recreational and medical marijuana.
But here's something you may not know that has been in the works. Maine's Department of Health and Human Services is promising to enforce rules that could restrict sick people's access to medical marijuana. DHHS says donating plants has always been illegal, while medical marijuana supporters say enforcement will cut off access to life-saving medicine. So that's a proposed change at the state level with dealing with medical marijuana.
Now, DHHS says it will start cracking down on February 1st, but a Republican state senator wants to be one step ahead and make donating plants expressly legal.
And that's a huge relief for a mom in Bethel who says donated marijuana plants were a precious gift that gave her 6 extra months with her daughter.
To think that they're gonna make it impossible for other parents with children going through what Haley went through, or seizures or whatever, that can't afford this stuff, and make it illegal is, I think, is wrong.
And that is what a large group of people is trying to prevent.
And the problem that we are having is that because of rules changes that have been put forward by the Department of Health and Human Services,
State Senator Eric Brakey is sponsoring a bill that would make sure it's written into law that licensed medical marijuana processors can change the plant into other forms and distribute to patients in need.
and the goal of those who've brought this legislation forward is to try to do everything we can to make sure that processing remains legal so that people can continue doing it. Patients can continue having access to their medicine, and the businesses that are in business doing this, providing this medicine to people who need it, can continue operating.
Tabitha Stewart's daughter Haley is one of those people who needed it. After battling leukemia for years, Haley was given just a few days to live last spring. Then she started using cannabis oil. Her days turned into weeks and then months. The $3,000 to $4,000 a month worth of medicine was all donated.
My daughter would have died, you know? I mean, there's no way around it. She ended up passing away anyways, but we got 6 months. 6 months with her where she was up, happy, playing and doing things that little girls should be able to do. Swimming in her pool, you know, those were the things that we weren't supposed to have.
Now, we reached out to the Department of Health and Human Services, but a spokesperson said they do not have a comment on the current piece of legislation that will be heard this Wednesday.
That's right. There will be public discussion, though, on this in Augusta on Wednesday, and anyone that wants to be heard is encouraged to attend. According to the current language in the proposed bill, there would also be a fee to pay if you want to be licensed as a medical cannabis processor. Okay. We're on to another story now. Yeah,
Maine's getting a large chunk of change, which is always nice, after Volkswagen was caught cheating on its emissions testing. So the question is now, what do we do with all that money?
Exactly. There are some guidelines, but the Maine Department of Transportation wants to hear your ideas on finding out how Maine could spend the money and how it could boost the number of electric vehicles on the road.
Chargers are clicking and a deadline is ticking. If you want to say in what the Maine Department of Transportation should do with the state's share of a massive Volkswagen settlement, you've got 1 week. Here's the deal. A $2.7 billion trust was established as part of a VW diesel emissions settlement. The purpose? To implement approved air pollution mitigation incentives for the U.S. Each state gets a share of that money. Just how much is determined by the number of registered vehicles that were part of the settlement. Maine will get $21 million.
You can drive the car with one pedal.
What?
Yeah, so you'll see.
Barry Woods is a driving force behind efforts to get more electric vehicles on Maine roads.
Push it all the way down fast to get a sense of how fast the car can.
That goes fast.
Oh yeah, that was actually not as fast as it can go.
Really?
So, yeah. So
I don't want to get arrested.
You won't get arrested. If you do, I'll tell them it was my fault.
Woods works for Revision Energy, a Maine company that helps people convert to using cleaner energies.
Maine is the tailpipe of the nation. Everything from other parts of the country comes here.
He also holds regular meetings for the group Drive Electric Maine. Woods and others say they want to see Maine's share of that money go to creating more charging stations along the highway and at businesses for employees to use while they're at work.
This is cool.
Yeah, I really like to drive.
Judy Gates, the director of Maine DOT's environmental office, says states can only spend up to 15% of their portion of the settlement on electric vehicle infrastructure. The rest goes to replacing equipment and technology.
So for every investment that we make as a state, something that is more polluting has to be taken offline so that it improves overall air quality.
It's about 3.5 million, give or take.
Right now, there are more than 700,000 electric vehicles on the road in the U.S., according to the research group Plug-in America.
So, you know, and you're paying $1.45 a gallon to drive this car. You know.
Ooh, it's almost like a jet ski. When you take your foot off the gas, you immediately start to slow down.
Right. It's like
there's no
the
coasting.
water friction kind of. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I think I understand now what you were saying about you can drive with one pedal, because I haven't put my foot on the brake.
You don't need to.
Woods says even though this funding is the result of bad behavior, the result will be the opportunity to grow some important transportation infrastructure.
And it's actually pretty impressive. I think it's the largest privately funded public works project that the country has seen.
Now, the money could be pulled away for other things, but the Maine Department of Transportation gets the final word, and under trust requirements, that money must be used in a way that results in a reduction of nitrogen oxide, a smog-forming pollutant. Now, we have a link to the forum to submit your ideas at our website and mobile app. Again, that deadline is January 15th.
Alrighty, coming up tonight on 207, a new look that taps into the traditions of our state. There's also a new sign, new furniture, a new logo, and more using materials sourced from right here in Maine. You can check out the entire new look tonight on 207 at 7 o'clock.
It looks so cool.
All right, earlier we told you about a change for marijuana policy in Augusta, but there's also going to be a change in our nation's capital. Despite marijuana being legal in some form in 29 of our states, it is still illegal on the federal level. On January 4th, Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded what is known as the Cole Memorandum. It was established in August of 2013 under the Obama administration by the Department of Justice. Now, the memo determined what the focus of federal marijuana prosecution would be, including the distribution of marijuana to minors, drugged driving, the use of firearms in drug deals, and more. To sum it up, the memo said that federal law enforcement would not waste its time cracking down on individuals possessing small amounts of marijuana.
And now that the memo is rolled back and Sessions says the Department of Justice will return to the rule of law and crack down on marijuana enforcement, what could that mean for Maine? Christina Rex joins us with the answer. Hey, Christina.
Hey, guys. Well, as you know, Mainers voted to legalize marijuana back in November of 2016. And right now, the legislature is working to actually implement that. But could this Sessions memo put the brakes on legal pot here in Maine?
We're disappointed that the Attorney General made that decision. It's still not clear how that affects Maine.
Jeff Sessions' January 4th memo to U.S. attorneys encourages them to enforce laws enacted by Congress, aka enforce the fact that marijuana is illegal at the federal level. Leaders in Maine aren't able to definitively say what this means for state legalization, But with two leaders at the helm concerned about conflicting with federal law, legalization is going to be an uphill battle. Governor LePage considers the conflict with federal law a significant concern, according to his spokesperson. Until there is more clarity at the federal level in terms of enforcement, she writes, people who own or invest in marijuana-related businesses may be putting assets at risk, and people who use marijuana may be breaking federal law.
We knew that the governor wasn't a fan of legal marijuana, and he has a lot of power as governor to put up roadblocks or inhibit the implementation.
The other major player is Maine's U.S. Attorney Halsey Frank, who holds a lot of power in this situation. Frank was nominated by President Trump and sworn in October of 2017. The Sessions memo gives U.S. attorneys the discretion to decide which marijuana cases are worth prosecuting. Frank says he's working with his management team to determine just how he will interpret Sessions' memo here in Maine, and that once he comes to a decision, he will make it public. But we can glean a bit about his personal opinions on marijuana legalization from his columns in The Forecaster. In a 2013 opinion piece, he wrote that legalizing marijuana puts Maine, along with other states, at odds with federal law. Where there is a conflict between state and federal law, he says, federal law prevails. In a statement, Frank says his opinions for The Forecaster were personal and do not reflect his beliefs as a U.S. attorney.
And adults can possess it and grow it at home without fear of punishment from our state. What they may fear now is federal intervention.
Now, as far as local legalization goes, implementing that is in the legislature's hands. There's actually going to be a public hearing about that in Augusta tomorrow at 1 o'clock, you guys.
All right, Christina, so we'll continue to follow that story even after the hearing tomorrow. Thanks so much for that. Well, we talk a lot about stores closing in Maine, but what businesses are growing here?
And we'll take a break from cold temperatures today, but our vacation from those might be short-lived. That full forecast is coming up.
An out-of-state firm bought the former Bangor Macy's at auction in December. News Center Maine has confirmed that. Officials who know about the sale couldn't provide details, including the name of the buyer, but we do know the sale is currently in escrow. The Macy's closed last spring.
And last week, Sears announced that it would close its location at the Bangor Mall as well.
Yeah, the narrative is that brick and mortar stores are dying as online sales pick up, but some physical locations are expanding to the Bangor area. Why are these businesses different?
Tennyson Coleman tells us.
The internet has changed the way we shop, and shopping centers all over the country are just trying to keep up with the times. Here in Maine, it's no different, and local economy experts say the key is engaging millennials. The Bangor Mall has seen store after store close over the last few years. Macy's, Kmart, and now Sears, the latest to go. But a few businesses, many of them food-related, have also popped up in and around the mall. Starbucks, Chipotle, and most recently Chick-fil-A. What do these places have in common?
Like, it's good service here.
Millennials love them. According to Business Insider, a recent survey by ad agency Moosylvania named Starbucks, Chipotle, and Chick-fil-A in a list of 100 brands millennials say are their favorites. Economist Brian Walton says the future of malls depends on how well businesses engage millennials.
That's the biggest buying market segment that there is, and they want an experiential, interactive experience using digital online shopping. What they'll do is they'll order something online, go into the store at a mall, and pick it up.
All three businesses allow customers to do just that.
It's just nice to be able to, kind of get it, stay out of the line and just kind of come in, get your food.
Checking off the convenience factor that millennials love. Some even offer incentives like coupons or free food.
It kind of gives you an opportunity to kind of gain, I guess, a little something back for being loyal to a certain place, I guess.
Experts say millennials want an experience.
Yeah, one thing that we do our best to offer each and every visit is a great experience with great food.
Chick-fil-A Bangor's owner Todd Schultz says giving millennials the experience they desire builds loyalty for years to come, as firms look to grapple with the changing landscape that technology has created. In Bangor, Tennyson Coleman, News Center.
It is also interesting to note that the Bangor Mall has a JCPenney, which also made the list of brands that millennials love. We did reach out to Starbucks and Chipotle, but did not receive any comment by the time we had to go and start our newscast.
You guys, when I lived up in Bangor, I actually tweeted at Chipotle, please, is there any sign of a location moving here soon? And they responded to me. They actually told me on Twitter.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, that just made me just want a spicy chicken sandwich from there.
Right.
That's big down in the south. And they have one in Bangor. Do they have any other in Maine? Or I think it's just the one, right?
I don't know.
Is there a Chick-fil-A?
I believe so.
Really?
Yeah,
Maybe
or
not.
a Chick-a-filla, as some like to
I think
call.
there's one in Westbrook.
I don't know. I'll have to Google that
I'll have
after.
to check.
Anyways, hey, today
Fake
was
could be
nice,
fake
right?
news, I don't know.
20, now he's
was
down
not
there. Now he's
spicy.
like, wait a second. 27 today in Portland, 35 in Rockland. These temperatures, let's face it, they felt really nice after the stretch of weather that we've been through the past 2 weeks, basically 2 weeks of an Arctic plunge and starting to recover now. Light snow almost everywhere except for Portland hasn't seen very much. Everyone else has seen basically dusting to up to an inch of accumulation. I haven't heard any big amounts come out of there, but just a little disturbance moving through. Computer models want to spit on another ½ inch or so up towards Bangor, Millinocket, and maybe into Caribou as well. But this is nuisance stuff. It's not going to be a problem for us as it heads out of here tonight. So there it is, hour by hour, the last of the snow moving over down east and northern Maine over the next few hours. After that, it clears out, but it's not, finally, not a brutally cold night. Temperatures stay largely in the 20s tonight, and then tomorrow we're in the mid and in some places upper 30s under mostly sunny skies, and another decent day on Wednesday. Temperatures will drop down Wednesday morning into the single digits in spots, but respond again into the 30s, which is much more seasonable for this time of the year. So we get a couple of nice days. We warm up on Thursday. Thursday could be really nice with temperatures in the mid 40s along the coastline and just a few sprinkles hanging around. After that, things get more interesting though, with some showers on Thursday, rain on Friday, but then we're watching Saturday very closely for the potential for an ice event. I don't want to say ice storm, and I think it has the wrong connotation this far in advance, but we've got cold air damming pulling in from the north. We've got a lot of precip coming from the south. The combination of the two will create ice somewhere, so we'll have to keep an eye on that on Saturday. Warm, going to get a little cleansing of the cars and everything else on Thursday and Friday. That will be all rain, even into the mountains on Friday. Again, guys, Saturday is by far the day to watch in this 7-day forecast because the potential is there for a significant ice event. And again, we don't know where that's going to be. Will the significant ice end up somehow in New York State? I'm not sure. The point is, it's something to watch, and ice is one of those things that people in Maine take very seriously, so we'll keep an eye on that. And temperatures, as you can see, generally more moderate, even on the cold days in the 20s. That's still way better than we've been doing.
All right, I'm taking partial credit for Chick-fil-A.
Okay, well,
in October of 2016, we did a story that there was one coming to Westbrook, but apparently it's not open yet. So I don't know what's going on there. If it's
takes 2 years
now
to open a Chick-fil-A.
maybe it's gone away.
Okay.
But at one point it was coming.
No, I'm going to give you partial
so
on
partial
that too.
credit.
Yes.
Not
I
full
thought
credit.
you, honestly,
partial.
I thought you just made it up.
No,
so
no,
it's
no.
much better
Look, right
than
there, right there. New Center Maine. Chick-fil-A coming to Westbrook.
Perfect.
You're so excited about this Chick-fil-A. I'm so excited about these 49-degree temps we got on tap.
Everybody's happy about something.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's check in with Katie Ortiz in the DigiCenter with our social stop today. Katie?
Hey everybody, Katie Ortiz here for Social Stop. We all know that trolls on social media, they suck, especially when they're throwing swears at you and calling you just these heinous things. Cue comedian Sarah Silverman, who handled a Twitter troll recently with class and even helped him turn over a new leaf. Now, we're not going to show you what the user Jeremy Jim Rosie said, but it's a very, very offensive word to women. And instead of clapping back and ripping him to shreds, Sarah took the time to actually look at his tweets to get a better handle on who she was talking to. I believe in you, she says. I read your timeline and I see what you're doing, and your rage is thinly veiled pain. But you know what? I know this feeling. See what happens when you choose love. I see it in you. Now, that's when Jeremy came clean. I can't choose love, he says. A man that resembles Kevin Spacey took that away when I was 8. I can't find peace. If I could find that guy who ripped my body, who stripped my innocence, I'd kill him. He blanked me up, and I'm poor, so it's hard to get help. Well, Sarah said he deserves support instead, and after some back and forth, he agreed to actually get help, and a spinal clinic even stepped in to help him with slipped discs in his back that has kept him from working. So, Lee and Lindsay, I think there's a lesson here for all of us on all sides. What do you think?
Yeah, that one had a good ending, so thank you, Katie. Appreciate you bringing that up for us today.
All right, we're joining Rob Caldwell now to talk about what's coming up at 5:30.
We are, guys, 1 month away from the start of the Winter Olympics. You fired up yet? What you may not be aware of is the sacrifice that athletes have to make to get to the games. You'll see what some competitors have given up to make it to South Korea. Also coming up on News Center at 5:30, a family thought they were stranded in Boston after their daughter went through brain surgery. But a police officer came forward to make sure they did not wait in the cold. Those stories and more coming up in the next half hour.
All right, sir, we will watch for that. News Center Now continues after the break.
All right, today's Brain Drops is something I actually got a lot of questions about over the past year, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. Please explain why the day is lengthening faster in Bangor than it is in Portland. We get variations on this question. Why is it so different, etc. So, okay, we had them make some graphics for us so I can help explain why this is. The easy answer is latitude, right? The Bangor is farther north than Portland, but why does that impact them so much? Well, think about the tilt of the Earth and what creates the seasons to begin with. So this is a picture of the summer solstice in which you've got the sun there on the right and you've got the Earth at its 23.5-degree tilt. Now notice where Portland is, notice where Bangor is. If you were to look at this graphic more closely, during the summer, this is the 24-hour day and night that occurs on the North Pole. So that time of the year, they get entire days of sunlight. So they get more sun in northern latitudes during the summer solstice and during summer than we do at southern latitudes. So that's a difference in the summer. Flip it for the winter solstice, and you're going to find that the sun is now aligned with the Tropic of Capricorn. Everything's reversed. So this is 24-hour night on the North Pole, 24-hour sun on the South Pole, and the difference in latitude is a negative to you as you go farther north in latitude. So what that really means is, if we break it down by the numbers, there is less sunlight during the winter solstice for Bangor, and there's more sunlight for the summer solstice. Portland has less time to make up. So you look at this, they have to come up with 6 hours and 32 minutes in Portland between the winter and the summer solstice. It's 6:47 in Bangor. So the bottom line is there's more of a difference between the winter and summer in Bangor. Therefore, the time that you gain sunlight this time of the year has to be higher to get there. Did that make any sense?
Got it.
You know what? The great Jimmy Buffett once said, changes in attitude, changes in latitude.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, changes in
Something
latitudes,
like that.
changes in attitudes.
Jimmy Buffett is meant to be listened to at Key West Bar, so you don't always remember exactly.
I think we're far
what
too
he
with it
said.
to be talking about Jimmy Buffett right now. I just have one question. Whose day would be longer if the Earth were flat instead of round?
I knew it.
What? What? Did I say? Well,
No
we're
one's.
out of time.
No
okay.
one's, as it turns
We've got to
out.
go. News Center at 5:30 starts right now.